So here we are in the moment. We are in this shock and this shake-up of this pandemic and all the disruption that it entails moving forward for years. And I'm just wondering, what do you think is specifically interesting about your book, The Advice Trap, and not giving advice in this situation when really at the moment you would imagine we all want advice about what we should be doing?
Totally. I mean, we have this little lizard brain, the amygdala back here, and it hates uncertainty. It hates uncertainty all the time, but now your conscious mind is even more aware of the uncertainty than it's ever been. You're not sure about the economics, the company, the health, the society, our politicians. So our little amygdala is kind of freaking out. It's like, give me more certainty now, please. And the temptation is that we think the best act of leadership is nothing but certainty, nothing but advice, nothing but guidance. And we're overly biased to go, that's what I need as well. I just need somebody to tell me what to do. Even if it's not very good advice, even if it's solving the wrong problem, there's part of your brain goes, oh, that's a relief. Somebody's telling me what to do. So as a leader today in this pandemic, you've really got to be thinking about, well, what's the balance? Because for sure, certainty, clarity, direction, confidence will be part of your job. But here's the thing about possibilities and curiosity. It opens up possibilities. It helps you see other options. It helps you understand that you may have more choices available. And if you're shutting down curiosity, you're shutting down the opportunity to see better options. Because, and I'll just say this, I think there are three ways that advice goes wrong. And this is where you're just staying curious a little bit longer. I'm not talking days or hours even, I'm talking a couple of minutes to stay curious a little bit longer. First of all, if you jump in and solve the problem right away, you're probably solving the wrong problem. Because almost always the first challenge that gets presented is never the only challenge, and it's rarely the most important of the challenges. But even if you've got the right challenge, the real thing that if you cracked it, if you solved it, would make all the difference, then the second place advice goes wrong is that your advice is not nearly as good as you think it is. And I know there's a bunch of you immediately going, yeah, Michael, you've never met me. You don't know who I am. Quite frankly, I give awesome advice all the time. And what I'd encourage you to do is check into this idea of cognitive biases that basically is your brain convincing you that you're much better than you actually are. You don't give that good advice all the time, particularly when you don't really know what's going on. But the third piece of where advice goes wrong is the most critical, which is it's a leadership failure. Because even if you have the right challenge, even if you have a fantastic piece of advice that will solve that right challenge, you're at a leadership crossroads. You're at a choice. Do you give the person the answer? And in doing so, give them a good answer to fix the problem, and also tell them that they're not smart enough to figure this out themselves, that they should always come to you, that you're the person who fixes things around here? Or do you say to yourself, you know what? It might be the right thing to do that I enable them to figure out the answer. And even if their answer isn't quite as good as yours, and honestly, that's what your cognitive biases will be telling you, it might still be good enough. And in that moment, you give them more autonomy, or sense of confidence, more sense of competence, more sense of self-sufficiency. And in that moment, you play the longer game of building capacity within your team and still getting the job done, rather than building a dynamic that might be a little dysfunctional.